I've tried everything to get this thing running. I left it in rice overnight, it's nothing. I rang the Rover helpline, but nobody answered. Weird. So it still doesn't work. I guess I'm gonna have to get the tools out and put it back together myself. Since we last saw it, I've had Mark from TGB Detailing come over and give this thing a real spit shine. And now look at it. It's like a brand new one, apart from all the paint flaking and stuff, but it's just nice fun patina, that, isn't it? But yeah, it's now super shiny. Before I just start throwing bits on this car and hoping for the best, I've got to clean stuff. Now, cleaning stuff before a head gasket replacement is really important. Ask me how I know. And this one does need a lot of it. You can see the deck. It's an okay nick, but it's just there's lots of stuff on there which is going to make your new head gasket not sit right. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to sort it. See those holes? See how they're full of oil? Now that is where your head bolts would go. Now I've done this before as well. Not cleaned those out properly and thoroughly, and it affects the torque of the bolt that goes in there, because there's resistance and you get a false reading on your torque wrench because there's oil down there and your head gasket doesn't seat properly. So you've got to get all of that out. Just put a cloth over it and spray it with an air gun for ages and it'll all come out. But yeah, big lots of cleaning to do under here. Happy days. Doesn't take long to get it looking nice, you know. Using a bit of this, plastic razor blade, normal razor blade, rags, brake cleaner, and air. Don't put the air down that hole because that's where the water lives and then it sprays everywhere, which is why everything's covered in water. Let's just get the last little bits out if there is any. Now I think this is steel asbestos because there's 3 layers to it. It's not just a steel head gasket. Oh, looks nice though, doesn't it? Very duty. Now over there belongs an O-ring, which I've got a replacement of, which we'll stick that on. And then I guess we get the head out and we drop it on. Yeah, looks like a good fit. Right, let me grab the head. Take a butcher's of these. Unleaded conversion, so no more worrying about what fuel you put in it. Hardened valves, hardened seats, get it down the road. Now he tells me that the seats were hardened but the valves weren't. That's how these things came from the factory, according to John at the head shop, who does this for a living and has done for many years, so I trust what he says. Anyway, this is looking absolutely superb. I'm wondering how to put it back together. No, in terms of, shall I get the exhaust manifold on it off the car to save me a little bit of a job and put it on with the exhaust manifold on? Because we took it off with the exhaust manifold on. And I might stand a better job outside. But all the bolts came out and everything, they should go back in okay, so maybe we just concentrate on getting the head on, you know, before we start bolting everything else to it. Let's put that on without damaging anything. It's really heavy. Oh, Jesus Christ. You put that there. Oh, whew. It's good for your back. Okay. Head gasket is in place. Right, so if we now connect the battery up, twist the key, see if it fires up. I know we've got to do all this other bits, haven't we? Right, okay, yeah, got it. Right, okay. Do you remember what happens? How do we get that bit back with those? Okay. There she is, look. Now all back in. I've put a bit of chewing gum around the edge of the plate at the back and thrown that on. Cool. Installation is the opposite of removal. I've just got to put all this stuff back in. Everything though is going to need a real good clean before it goes back in. Nothing abrasive, just lots of nice cleaning, and then I'll get it all in. These things, I sort of, as time's gone on, I was like, I'll get him to shave a bit of these off, but I don't know what it's going to be like now that the head's been skimmed and stuff and the new valves have been put in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave those as they are. We'll put everything together and we'll have a little measure and we'll see what they're like. And if I do need to take the cam off again and take these off to get machined, then I can use the bolts that I did before to do it. Because I would like it nice, but I would also like it done quickly. So that being said, let's cue the music. Hey, that's pretty cool. I've got the cam locked in place, pushing down number one exhaust valve, and all the bolts are in and sort of just lightly torqued down, not with the torque wrench. Over here it shows tightening sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 11, and then it says £70 for a steel asbestos gasket, which is what I think this is. So I'm going to £70 all of these, and I hate doing this because I'm scared if one snaps, it's a problem, isn't it? So okay, let's give it a go. Wish me luck. Oh, lovely. Twos across. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Whoops. 3 is this one here. These aren't that tight really. I've done a lot tighter head bolts. These don't feel too bad at all. Lovely. Just wind that off. Put it back in there, we'll use that again next year. Right, what's next then? I think we have to sort of get some timey bits connected back up, and then it's just a case of bolting stuff on how we took it off, which should be fairly straightforward. My only bit that I'm a little bit like, what the hell do we do with this, is this bit here, which is your sort of tensioner. I'm not sure how that works. There's a plate there that I've seen a video that you take it off, and I don't know, but I'm going to find out. I'll do a bit more and I'll show you. That exhaust manifold was a ball ache. I had to try like 500 different tools just to get the right one to sort of go a zigzag and then up into where the bolt is. Ball ache. They just make exhaust manifolds are always a pain in the ass. Right, where are we up to? Everything's good. I've turned the engine over a couple of times and it's flowing smoothly. Gaps wise, we're going to need to do some work, but I just want to get it running for the moment. The only stuff I've got left to connect is a couple of pipes, spark plugs, the carburetor, valve box, rocker cover, whatever you want to call it, thermostat housing, air filter, water pipe. Not really much else I can procrastinate with. I think it's going to be time to change the oil. I can actually see the drain plug right there, so I don't need to jack the car up, which is super handy. I'm just going to put the pan here and we'll just let it drain up, probably all over the floor. What size do you think it is? Looks like one of these big ones. In fact, it looks like it's going to be bigger than that. Oh dear. Oh, quite nice on my back after being stooped all over this engine bay all day. Okay. Oh, nice. Should be all sorts of ATF and stuff in here, so that's why I'm changing it, you see. Don't want to run the car on non-good oil after we've just spent all that time and money. If it runs, of course. Nice. Oh, isn't that nice? Right, let's give this a quick clean off. Okay, so checklist wise, it's quite straightforward because there's no parts left over there, apart from a few little bits. So we should be good to go. The alternator bracket here is being a little bit annoying. One of the bolts keeps wanting to go in at an angle. So I need to possibly have a little bit of a play with that. We'll see if it squeals its head off if it runs. Where's the water go? Let's put some in here. Those garages that have like special receptacles for water for coolant, so fancy, aren't they? They don't use, you know, not using a kettle. So fancy. I'm genuinely nervous about this, partly because you're all watching, you know. Chuck, did I even reconnect that? Crazy. not in gear. Can we see any fuel being pumped up? Straight away, okay. And it sounds low on compression. And I can see the fuel leaking. I've put the spark plugs in, haven't I? Ah, that there, that big vacuum leak. Okay. What have I done? What have I done? Should we check if we've got a spark? Got a lovely spark. I was hoping there'd be enough compression to run and we can see how it runs and then we can, you know, do all that sort of stuff afterwards. However, we've now got to do it before I can even hear the thing run. I'm going to take this cam cover off, pull the camshaft out again, nightmare, and then we're going to do all of the tappets. I'm going to check the, you know, tolerances of them with my little feeler gauge. I think they're all just, they're all too big. Let's just take it all apart again. I'm not taking it all apart again. So I think because obviously the valves have been renewed and we're still running on the old shims, the shims are too big and they're holding the valves open, which means that we're getting nil point of compression. So, let's have a go at it. So let's find a thin one. What have I got? 0.05, let's give that a go. Can I insert this over by hand still? Yeah, nice and easy. Okay, so let's just start by making sure they are all doing something. And yeah, I can't get anything under the #1 exhaust valve. What about the #1 inlet valve? Petrol valve, petrol and air valve. No dice. What about this petrol and air valve? No dice. What about this one? No dice. That exhaust valve? No dice. That exhaust valve? No dice. No dice on any of them. Which is all a bit frustrating, isn't it? Now I'm hoping you can see what I mean. So when this low big bit here goes round and pushes down on this thing, it opens and closes the valve. And when it's up and it's just normal, this valve should be closed and there should be a gap in there. And there isn't one. So I'm now going to have to remove the camshaft. Yay! And then we're going to have to pull the tappets out, pull all of the shims out, take them up to Warrington and get them shaved down. The only annoying thing is that I don't know how much to shave them down by. I'm going to speak to John, I'm going to take some photos, speak to John and see what he says. Thankfully I've done this before, just the other day in fact. You know, taking all this apart. It's fine, totally okay with it. Can I just swing that out of the way? Oh, even better. I was hoping it'd at least run and then I could measure the gaps and then I'd know what shims I need. But because they're all of them are just so, there's no gaps at all. I can't measure them, don't know how much I need. Hopefully John knows and he'll go, oh yeah, well you just stick these in and it'll be fine and you know, all that sort of stuff. That's kind of what I'm hoping for, but I don't know. So that's ready to sort of go again. And over here, got everything sorted out, and these little doohickeys are the shims. Now I need to take those to head shop and shave them. Question is how much are we shaving them? I've got the goods, and it's the next day, and monsoon season has arrived. It's been raining like heavily like this for like 24 hours so far. Everywhere's quite soggy. I went to the head shop and it's very, very helpful. What we've done is we've taken between 0.7 and 0.4 off of all of our shims, taken them down, and these are the numbers that we've got. And very handily, they've written the numbers on the shims, so I know what's what. 388, 401, 388, you get the idea. The biggest ones, these 401s, I'm thinking of using in the petrol and air, the inlet valves. And I'm thinking of doing that because when we did the engine originally, there was a gap there where there was none in the exhaust. And the smaller ones, which are all roughly the same size, we'll use on the exhaust. But the good things about these is we now have a baseline. I know exactly how big they are, and if we can get these underneath that cam, I can measure them, and if I can get anything in there to measure them, I can get the exact gap of what I need. I can potentially order some new ones or take them to be machined again and get the perfect clearance of the 0.33 to 0.38 on the exhaust and 0.20 to 0.25 on the inlet. That would be awesome. We've just got to hope that putting these in will give us that gap. And it's a bit of a faff to put everything back together, so I'm going to whiz through it dead fast, get everything in how I want it, and we'll get the feeler gauges out. I've tightened 2 of the cam carriers down, and the good news is there is a gap of some description under a couple of the ones that are closest to it, which is brilliant. Because what we desperately need is like a starting point. So it's quite complicated, this, but once you get your head around it, it's quite simple. The valves go up and down based on how big those little shims are. If the shims are that big, the valve's gonna want to go further and not want to come all the way back up. If they're that, the valves are only going to move a little bit. It's quite straightforward. But to get to the exact book specifications of the 0.33 and the 0.25, we have to first measure what we've got and go, right, okay, well I can get a 0.05 in there, so I now need to work out where I need to be, deduct that, add that on, all this maths, and then we get the right shims, and then that will mean that the valves come out of the valve seats and open for exactly the right amount of time, which is important for power, but also they seat properly and they open properly. You know, once we've done that, the engine should be nice. It is a bit of a faff though, because on some of the cars you just turn a nut with a spanner, and you know, this is much more laborious. This is quite interesting. I bolted the cam back down and I've got my feeler gauges. Now this 0.3, if I force it, I can get that in there, but it's like really pinching on the sides. The 0.25 is a really nice gap, and it should be 0.25, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm now going to do that to the rest, write it down in the book, what gap I've got. And I say the book, I just mean the scrap bit of paper over there. And then I'll know what all the gaps are and just pray that there's something close. If there's something close, we'll stick it back together and we'll send it. I've done all of my measuring, and this is what I've come up with. We've got no gap on any of the exhaust. we've got 4, 3, 4 and 0.25, 0.25, 0.4, 0.3, 0.4 on the inlet, which is a gap, which is brilliant. It's a starting point. Now I've done this and then I've realised I've messed up. This should be the other way around. Can I weld the Capri or something instead? Smoke coming out the back of my head. It's very handy. I spoke to a guy on Facebook who chatting on the phone to him for about 15 minutes about doing this very job, and he says it's complicated. There's a lot of jobs like this. It's, you know, they can be a bit annoying. He says he's doing one. This is a 4-cylinder, 8-valve. He said he's doing a 12-cylinder. What, do the maths, 12-cylinder, like a 16-valve in each one. Basically, the guy is £14,000 into this engine job so far. So it's not all that bad. We've got, you know, there's other things. The engine was seized, that guy was working on, and he's had to replace loads of it. But he says, yeah, it's just so laborious. Whew. So anyway, but he's also said he's got all sorts of like gauges that use a pin on a wheel and things and give you a little thing. Anyway, cool. I need to swap all of those over and read them again, because the exhaust should have been less and the inlet, now if I put those ones in the inlet, we might have a nice gap. Only took me like 5 minutes, 10 minutes to get this camshaft back out again, get this down to a fine art. Should do this for a living, shouldn't I? So what I really want to do now is swap these shims over, because I put them on exhaust and I meant to put them on inlets. It does get complicated, you know. Now I wonder if I could hold the cam down enough, with enough pressure on there. If I take these caps off, maybe I could, and then I could measure those gaps. Do you reckon that'll work? Only one way to find out, isn't there? Starting to pick up 2 at once now. So now, will this behave itself and just lie there like so? This is my exhaust. Have we got any gap on the exhaust? No. Any gap on the inlet? God. Only a small one. Oh, the gap's completely gone. Gotta be so careful with these tolerances, you know. Right, get my 5 under there. Any gap on the exhaust? Still nothing on the exhaust. I can actually get a 5 under there. I've got a 5 under there now. Even with pressure on, it's absolutely a 5 under there. 0.05 on the exhaust, which is a gap, which is good. And I can get 0.05 under the inlet, nice and easy. That one is now bang on. This inlet, providing it's good enough with me just putting a load of pressure on it. Yeah, that's cool as. And I've got a reading for this one, which is exciting. So if it's 0.005, 0.05 mil. You getting bored yet? Is there anything else on? Let me figure this out, and then I'll potentially have to drive up to the head shop and get some more shaved off, come back and fit them. Exhaust needs 0.33 to 0.38 millimeter. Cold. Inlet needs 0.2 to 0.25 millimeter. Cold. We have 8 shims. 1, 2, 3. All of the 401s are in. Let me just check one. All of the 401s, we know, the ones that measure 401 in height are in the inlet. So 401, 401, 401, 401, and we'll say 388 in the others. But they've got the numbers written on them, so when I parcel them up with some masking tape in a line across this bit of paper, we'll be able to mark exactly what they are, so we can get an exact measurement. This isn't my style list at all, but annoyingly, I'm starting to enjoy it. And I hope this thing purrs like a kitten afterwards. I'll be really annoyed if it doesn't. This is the feeler gauges that I could get inside all of these. 0.25 millimetre, 0.27 millimetre, 0.23 millimetre, 0.2, 0.25, 0.005, 0.2. Show you workings. These are the readings I've got, these are the readings I need. These are all inlet valves, so I need 0.2 to 0.25, which means all of them, this one tiny little bit out, so I'm not really that bothered, but all of them are to spec, which is amazing. And that was a real strong educated guess, because yesterday when we were in the head shop, we were working out how much do we take off this, how much do we do this, valve seats, what we cut in, you know, we worked it all out based on the measurements. So I was hoping we would get somewhere close, and they've done a dynamite job, and we have got 4 spec'd inlet valves, which is awesome. Exhaust though, we are out, which means we're going to have to do some work. I need to be between 0.33 and 0.38. I've got 0.25, 0.23, 0.25 and 0.005. Could hardly get anything under that, but I did. So that means I'm going to have to take these exhaust shims, take them up to the head shop, and I'll sellotape them over here. There we go, here's my little parcel with all of these there. 388, 388, 384, 390, and we need to take enough off of these to get to those figures. Makes total sense, doesn't it? What is this weather all about like? What's going on? All done though, happy days. Took him like 10 minutes. Let's drive an hour home again and fit them. Here we go again. Everything is, I'm 99% sure, back together. Starting to get a bit of snow blindness under here now. But yeah, we're pretty much where we were a day or so ago, but now with valve clearances. Where does that go? It's probably not important, is it? Okay. I've turned it over a few times by hand. Let's see if it turns over on the key okay and doesn't make any clanging or banging noises. Somewhat of a Rover 2000 expert. Thanks for watching. Bye. Well, that was cool, wasn't it? It just fired into life almost immediately and sounded really good. Should we do it again? I'm scared. What happens now? What happens if it works? Right, come on baby, let's have an idle out here. Whoa! Something fuel-wise just went psst. Right, this fuel filter is dead. I'm going to replace it because it's leaking, it's crap. So I'm going to replace it. These ones, much better. Will it fit in there though? That's the question.
Come on! You beautiful machine! Listen to that!
I just switched it off. Come on! God, that sounded good. Have I picked something? No. God, I wish I was recording it. Oh, I am. Amazing. Right, let me just have a look over everything, make sure I've got nothing weeing out everywhere, and then we'll run it again. Real car. That is the sweetest sounding engine I've ever heard. I don't know if that's picking up on camera. I still got to do that back box exhaust. God, that's amazing. Right, let's get some heat into it and just hope that it stays like this. It's practically silent. Listen to it, it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Now we do have a leak, annoyingly. You can see it dripping there. It's water, coolant. It's coming from, you see this joint here, it's coming from there. Which is really frustrating. It's got a couple of weird looking bolts in it, so I'm going to have to deal with that. I'm not sure how. I also want to put a couple of new fuel pipes on it because these are too small, so I'm going to put some more modern fuel pipe on it, bigger stuff. Okay, I'll leave it to cool down. Maybe in the morning we'll tackle it all, get it all sorted. Bit of an oil leak out of here as well, actually. Out of there. Right, to put a new cup. The cup washer's on the wrong side. Oh, my fault. Okay, I've got a couple of little jobs to sort. I'm so pleased with that though. What an incredible result. Got one full day left on this Rover, and I think I'm going to spend it boxing off this engine, getting that exhaust welded up, putting the mirrors on, and then we're going to take it for a bit of a spin. Hello, welcome to of the Rover 2000 engine sort of rebuild. I've been a busy bee this morning and I've just dismantled some items. First of all, the thermostat housing, because I just wasn't getting a proper seal. I don't know if you can tell on this, I think it's dried up now actually, but there's some liquid down here. It was just getting past. I think I'm just going to put a bit of instant gasket over the top of this and sort of plant it all down, because I've got some really nice WYNNE stuff. This bit had a bit of a sad face. that goes on there, and it had no gasket. And not only did it have no gasket, it had that random sort of mismatched bolt shoved in there. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of work. I'm going to make a gasket for that. I've got some gasket paper, and then we'll stick it all back together, and hopefully that'll be the water leak sorted. Cool, blimey, governor. I've done my best to clean these surfaces up, but you can see, I don't know how well you can zoom in on the camera. I need to get a better camera. Anybody got any ideas of like a good camera that I can get to like make these videos better, up to like sort of 500 quidish? Let me know. But you can see pitting, lots of pitting. So I'm going to do my best with these, but yeah, we'll have a go. Another interesting thing, so I've got my new thermostat there, and this is the old one. Now, quite often thermostats will come with a rubber gasket that goes around the edge, which sort of helps sealing and stuff. This one didn't, but I can see remnants of some sort of gasket maker, and this didn't leak before, so I'm going to do a bit of a similar job. This stuff is beautiful. Really, really nice. WYNNE's black gasket maker. Just a nice little trigger thing on it. I've used this for rebuilding most of that engine. Really, really good bit of kit. I like it. Okay, let's make a gasket for this bad boy here. I'm going to use some masking tape. Wait for that to dry. How's your day? Is this possibly the most boring episode? If you're not into sort of like engines and stuff, this is probably quite a boring episode. And annoyingly as well, I've only got like the rest of today, so it's not like we can take it on some grand road trip adventure. But that still might come, because I've not decided if I'm going to keep this or not yet. Could just be a nice addition to the fleet, and then we can see more of it. Depends how well it drives and behaves. Okay, so sticking that over there, and I'm just rubbing, just doing a little rub, just a tiny rub, and I can see a beautiful outline forming. And hopefully, if I peel that off, I don't know if you can see how well that's come across on camera there, but that's my gasket. Very nice. So transfer this to a bit of gasket paper, cut round it, Bob's your uncle. Can you see that there? Nice, isn't it? This is my gasket paper, nice thick flexoid, made in England, oil resistant jointing. So yeah, I'm just going to cut that out with a little razor blade. Steady. 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 Oh, look at that. Splendido. So let's find a bolt that fits, glue this on, bolt it all back on. I found a bolt that fits, which is awesome. This side that had the sketchy bolt in it though, for some reason it looks like it's going slightly off-piste, and it only goes in that far, which isn't a massive problem because I can just put a load of washers on there, but it is a bit unsightly. But there's not really a lot I can sort of do about it. I don't want to start really getting amongst that because it's right on the water sort of bit there, you know. Anyway, gasket looks good, looks like it's going to do the trick. Let's install it. Now I'm using this to essentially fill in that bit of pitting there, really, more than anything else, but it's also going to help it sort of have a seal, you know. That goes like that. So let's get some on this side as well. Now let's pop that on there, and then get the first bolt which is going to go there. Push it into there. And just sort of gently tighten that on. Where's the other bolts? And hopefully it'll stop it leaking. So I'm going to do the same with this. I don't need to make a gasket for that. I've already got the gasket for that, but I'm going to put a thinner sort of run around that. And in there, throw it all back together. And I'm going to do this bolt, which I had a dream about last night, how I was going to do it. So that's fine. I'm just going to sort of try and lift this up with a crowbar. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, anyone let me know in the comments if you noticed that I actually put this bit on the wrong way around. It's fine. I just went to put this hose on and I was like, oh, it's too big because the big bit goes in there, and then I tightened it. I was like, oh, it's quite early in the morning. Trying to get a head start on the day, you know, my brain's not had enough Red Bull yet. Fabulous work. We've got a bolt in there. We're super buttoned up. Everything's nice and tight, and I'm hoping that all of this no longer leaks. But I fancy doing something else while we wait for all that to go off. Oh yeah, it's time to get rid of the orange mitts. Oh no. Where's the thing? Oh no. Oh, can I use that? It's got a dot in it. Oh yes, come on. One more. Quick. Oh, we're in. Oh, beauty. I do feel like we're going to need these today if we do venture out on the road. Do you know what I mean? Because the weather's shite. Tidy. I don't think we ever actually checked these, did we? But they seem to be working like a dream. Switch them off. What about those two things in boxes over there? As you can see, this mirror is like a dick in a shirt sleeve. So I need to unbolt it and fit one of these. This is a new mirror. I'm hoping it's sort of not through the door card operation, because if it is, I'm probably not going to do it. Right, there's a little flathead screw there. Oh, come on. Don't be like that. Oh, Christ. Plus gas. It's never straightforward, is it? Right, come on. Tighten a bit, loosen a bit, tighten a bit. Oh God, it's not going to work. I'm going to have to drill it out. Ah. Horrible, nasty, bad. Doesn't work. Okay. Little grub screw there that holds it onto this plinth. Is that funny? No. Right, and this one just simply goes on there like so. Oh, it's just so easy. It's an Allen key. Let's get one of those. And I know, before anybody suggests it, that apparently if you tighten these screws, it tightens that down. Look at this, it's just not going to work. I've tried it a million times. Just get new mirrors, they're like 15 quid each. Put them in the stack of dead mirrors that I don't know why I'm keeping. Now this side, there was no mirror on. I think someone, not sure who, but someone tore it off in the first video. Just by reversing the car when it was attached to a hedge. So let's have a little play with it, see if we can't make it nice again. I mean, I really hope the catch who did, you know, destroy this mirror in the first video
I mean, you know, certainly wasn't me, like. Now imagine all jobs in cars were as easy as those two mirrors were to install then. And what a difference as well, it's just now completely complete. What I'd like to do now is fire this baby up and take her outside and then check for some more leaks and all that cool business. Let's just have a little look at this exhaust though. So we've got, it's just a normal back box and it's split all along that seam, and I did have, you know, my idea was to just bend a bit of metal around and just weld it over the side, but I don't know, I think it'd just be a bit of a waste of time. It needs a new exhaust really, and I'd rather be doing other stuff. It's not the end of the world, it's just going to sound a little bit cool for a bit, sound a little bit drum and bass just for a short while, and then I'll just, I've got a saved search on eBay for one anyway, so I'll keep my eye out. At least I know what it looks like now. You could just get a universal one on there, because it's just a straight pipe sort of there, isn't it? Measure that pipe, universal back box, job done. First job I need to do before we get this old Rover outside is see if this Capri will start. I need to put it inside on the ramp, because that's what I'm going to be working on tomorrow, day after that, 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 day after that. Battery's a bit weak. Machine. Couple of sort of immediately quite annoying things are, it's very wet in here. Maybe you can see over there, very wet. It's been absolutely hammering it down here, and I think some water may have got in somewhere, not sure where, but oh my god, look at that horrible beast. Yeah, so far from ideal, but I'm going to get it inside so it has a nice chance to dry out. Don't want this inside to get mouldy again, you know. She's outside and she looks the business. Let's put the bonnet and just have a look, see what we're like leak-wise. She sounds pretty good. I'm just going to get some heat into her, let her run, let her get rid of all the crap from the system, all the bits and bobs, and we'll see how we're getting on. Let's get this air filter on. How's it work? She's now off choke, Air filter's back on, all the pipes and everything are connected, and just, I mean, listen to it. You could almost balance a penny off that, couldn't you? I think probably the most sanest and logical thing to do now is to just take her up the road. Okay, we're going to take this thing on the road. For the second time. But hopefully this time with all 4 cylinders. Will she start? Steady on. Right then, let's just go to the petrol station in Tarpley and back. And when we get to the petrol station, we'll just have a little sort of look over everything. And if everything's good, maybe we can carry on. I've got a few errands I'd like to run, and wouldn't it be amazing if I could do them in this car? I've got a temperature gauge, I've got an amp gauge, I have got an oil pressure gauge, but it is reading 0. I checked all the levels before I've left. So let's just see how we get on. We're on the road to nowhere. Da, 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 da. Oh, baby! Just wait for the bangs, wait for the explosions. I've got a very basic toolkit with me. Slow and steady wins the race. There's an incredible amount of smoke coming out the back of this thing. Oh my god, that's a lot of smoke. Why is there so much smoke coming out the back of this car? What's going on? Oh god. Alright, maybe round the roundabout. Let's go back. Looks blue like oil. Don't know if you can see any of that smoke, but it's pretty bad. I'm not sure if it's just like the runoffs from when it's been stood and not running properly, and the exhaust's going to be full of oil and stuff, all the ATF fluid and things. It's just going to be full of it, because remember, we were turning it over so much, and the only place it could really go is in the exhaust. But I don't know if we're just burning it or not. Best pull over and check. She's ticking over a dream and she sounds nice, but yeah, we are getting a bit of smoke. Interesting. God, it sounds good though. Right, what can we learn from under here? Nothing seems to be pouring out anywhere. Doesn't sound like it's doing anything like burning oil or anything either. Does it just need a sort of scouse service, I wonder? I mean, I've seen worse. Should we try it? Should we give it a go? Let me switch her off, give it a second, I'll just check the oil. I always find if you haven't got anywhere to sort of wipe your dipstick, a sock works perfectly. And because the sock's black and oil's black, no one will ever know. we're about where we were. Interesting. I don't know, I didn't bring any oil with me. I might just run back to the workshop, grab a bottle of oil to bring with us just in case it is burning oil at an incredible rate, and at least then we could sort of get it home if needs be. Okay, I'm stocked up with oil and water. I needn't have bothered, the smoke seems to have gone. I think it was just all the crap in the exhaust, which I've seen before, and you know, when you've done jobs like this and you've just been cranking over loads of ATF and stuff, pouring it into the pistons and then into the exhaust, and it just burns off as soon as it gets a chance to get hot, which I think is what's happened. So let's get to the petrol station, see how it behaves, put some fuel in it, and we don't have to do anything with the fuel, we could just stick normal unleaded in. Come on! And yeah, I've got one little job I just need to do in the back windscreen of the car. We've got a broken down E-type. Shall we see if he needs a hand? He was just stuck. Didn't know where he was going, so I've helped him out. Oh, listen to this machine! People said these were slow. It's like a Formula 1 car from 1938. Right, let's get some fuel in there. I was just driving off for the petrol station. I've just pulled over. Something just made a horrible noise. Almost like something falling off, or sounded like, I don't know, maybe one of those light lenses coming off. I mean, I'm just sort of looking over everything here. I can't see anything that's... I wonder if... I don't know what it was. That was weird. Everything's intact. Everything seems to be operating according to spec. So, I don't know what that was. Possibly a tool I'd left under the bonnet or something, and it's just decided to fly off now. I don't know. Either way though, I've got half a tank of gas. Temperature gauge is constantly in the green. It's wonderful. Touch wood, where's the wood? That's plastic. Touch wood, we seem to be doing all right. Just pulled over somewhere a little bit quieter just to check the oil and, you know, all that sort of nice stuff. Now that we've done a couple of miles, doesn't she look majestic on the road? Beautiful, beautiful thing. Oh man, I really like it. I love driving it as well, and in fact I love it so much it's going to be the first car that gets one of these. Oh yes, look at this, available to buy now. Where shall I put it? Should I put it there? Let's do it. Oh my god, isn't that amazing? Unintentionally as well, that lighter colour there matches that. Looks so good. Wow, really, really pleased. That sticker and so much more good stuff, like these things, they're all available on the Tasty Classics shop. So if you go into the description, which is below, not below, click on the link that's there, it'll take you there, and when you buy stuff, it means that I can spend the money doing nice jobs like this and making top quality, not boring content. Everything's still looking very super under here. What's this do? What's that for, I wonder? Anything without a attachment down there or anything? Interesting, interesting. Wonder if this is something for the wonder if that's the rev counter. Would make sense, wouldn't it? It's supposed to go to the distributor though, not the which one does that one go to? That one goes to there. Needs to go to it's got potential. Should we have a look? Doesn't want to start with that connected, does it? Let's disconnect it. Right, so that switches the car off, and that's fine on that side. Let's just try and sort of wedge it in there and just see if the rev counter's working. I mean, it's now saying we're doing 3,000 RPM, which we're definitely not. Yeah, okay, well, I'm not sure what that is. It's a white and black cable. If any P6 guys out there know what the white and black cable does that's sort of lurking in the engine bay, let me know. I think that down there is the oil pressure sensor as well, which we haven't got anything hooked up to. Anyway, switch off, check the oil. As far as I can see, this thing should, touch wood, get me home. And that's what I plan on doing. I've got a few errands to run, which I'd like you to come with me, and we're just going to see how it behaves as a car. I mean, the temperatures, everything seems to be working, you know? It's like a real car, but it's from 1970, 54 years old. A lot of those years parked up in a hedge. And look at it now. And it's been no mean feat getting this thing back on the road. I mean, like it started up straight away and it was running absolutely fine, but that cylinder ordeal was just that bit of an ordeal. I knew the head would have to come off, you know, and we'd have to do all this work, and it's been, you know, quite expensive, and having to put it in the workshop and leave it in the corner for a while has been a little bit annoying at times, just to, you know, have to get round everything. It's got delay on the wipers, you know, like a modern car. I think that's like the oldest car I've ever seen with delay on the wipers. Such a nice bit of kit, this. But yeah, we've done all that work and she's back on the road. And she is lovely to drive. Lovely, lovely, lovely to drive. Smooth, quiet. Very comfortable. This is the first stop. A wonderful British institution sells electronic goods, and they've got a lot of cameras on display, so I want to have a look at some cameras. Just look at this thing though. Look at the temperature. It's just perfect. Everything about it is just, you know, the rev counter is always there and the oil gauge isn't connected, but it's just great. Absolutely great. You know, all the switches, everything works. So nice. Nice place for tunes there as well, which may be a job for me or could be a job for the next owner. Oh, look at all this money! Oh, I didn't even check in, there's £2. Right, I'll add that to... Oh, is that an expensive one? If you know coins, let me know. This car's great. It's really, really good. I really like it. Doesn't she look just fabulous in this car park? Full of boring grey machines. Oh, apart from that thing there, look at that Peugeot in the same colour that we did the Spitfire. Oh, it's gorgeous. I want one of those. I want one. I think they're great. But yeah, how cool is that? Looks so clean from all the way over here, doesn't it? Hello. Too expensive, too expensive, too expensive, too... Oh, no, we get... Oh, that's just a lens. Interesting. Oh, what's this one? Yeah, could be getting there. Nothing in there really to tempt me. There's a nice indie camera shop in Chester in the city centre, which you've got to walk to. You can't drive old Rovers there. So I'll pop in there at some point and have a bit of a gander through. But yeah, if you've got an idea of anything that you think would work, I want something that I can zoom in and stuff while I'm working. Does that make sense? I'll still use the GoPros and stuff, but I just want something that I can make better films with and go for more distant shots. Okay, will it start now that it's been sat? Our survey says I can imagine this is almost identical to how it was when it rolled out the factory. Right, next stop, I need to stock up on some supplies for the workshop, namely a crate or so of Red Bull to get me through the next Capri video. Gosh, it drives like an absolute dream. So what shall I do with this car now then? I mean, it's not like I need to keep it around, although it's such a nice little thing to drive. I really do like it. I have got a lot of other stuff though. I did think about raffling it, which I mentioned in the last video. I'm not sure I've got the time to be able to organise a raffle. I was thinking about how I'd do it and stuff, and admin wise, you know, working it all out, spreadsheets and names and numbers and all this sort of stuff, I just don't think I've got the time for that at the moment, because I'm working pretty much flat out, which I don't mind because I enjoy it very much. However, I don't think I've got the time for it. So that being said, I might just pop it up for sale on the Tasty Classics website. You know, what's it going to cost you? £4 grand? Is that fair? £3,995? I think for the amount of time and effort and work I've put into it, it needs a few little jobs. It needs the oil gauge fixing, the rev counter fixing. It's got a few rusty bits on the doors and stuff. Underneath's very solid. All the inner structure is very solid. Needs an exhaust back box. That's pretty much it, really. You know, someone could really improve this thing over time, couldn't they? It's a nice old bus. So yeah, if you do want it, drop me an email and say, "Hi Ben, I want to buy the Rover, when can I come and pick it up?" This car's 54 years old and I'm just bombing around in traffic like it's nothing. I've driven 15-year-old cars that don't drive as well as this. It's great. It's absolutely fantastic. What's not to love? Because the steering wheel's so big as well. It's quite light, you can drive it with one hand very easily. And it's got more than enough power. You know, I think it's like, what, 90 horsepower or something, or like 100 horsepower? I don't know what it is. It's more than enough though. More than enough. You know, it's only the baby one, but as a little practical classic, it's very, very practical. I think you could quite easily daily this, you know, as long as you were, you know, okay keeping up with the maintenance and checking things and stuff, be fine. Do the interior lights work? Oh my god, of course they do. Of course they do. That should keep me going for, I don't know, 3 days? No, a couple of weeks. It's fine, it's good. Only like £1.20 a can, that's a decent price. So here we are then. We're on the road, we're a practical classic. What a lovely old bus. And even though it's been a bit brain smoky at times, I have enjoyed this. I've learned some new skills, which I'm like, I've learned about shims, which is great, isn't it? Every day's a school day. You know, I never want to get to a point where every day isn't a school day. You know, that'd be, you know, every day must be a school day. Something new out there all the time. And shims on an old 2-litre Rover, well, that's one of those things. So yeah, and I'm just so pleased with how it runs. This is such a cool detail as well, isn't it? I think that's its first ever tax disc. So it's 1970, the car, and that was its first ever tax disc, which is just a phenomenally great thing to have, isn't it? But yeah, it's really, really nice shape, this thing. And look, I hope you've enjoyed watching this little mini series, 3 episodes on a Rover P6. And I'm going to catch up with you next time. Hopefully next Friday, but we'll see. I've got a fair bit of work on that Capri to do before the next video comes out, so let's see how we get on. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Bye.